gratitude we offer this incense throughout space and time to all Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. May we pray with ourselves, with that deep and full effort, wholehearted awareness. one who bows and the one who is bowed to. Are both my nature and free. Therefore, the communication between them is inexpressibly perfect. Our practice center is the net Indra, reflecting all Buddhas everywhere. And with my person in front of each Buddha, I go with my whole life for refuge. Offering light in the 10 directions, the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha, to whom we bow in gratitude. Teaching and living the way of awareness in the very midst of suffering and confusion. Shakyamuni Buddha, the fully enlightened one, to whom we bow in gratitude. Cutting through ignorance, awakening our heart and our mind. Manchu Sri, the Bodhisattva, understanding, to whom we bow in gratitude. Working mindfully, working joyfully for the sake of all beings. Samanta Bhadra, the Bodhisattva reaction, to whom we bow in gratitude. Listening deeply, serving being in countless ways. Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva, great compassion, to whom we bow in gratitude. fearless and persevering through realms of suffering and darkness. Shifting around the Bodhisattva of great aspiration, to whom we bow in gratitude. Seeds of awakenings and loving kindness in children and all beings. Maitreya, the Buddha to be born, to whom we bow in gratitude. Mother of Buddhas, Bodhisattva and all beings, nourishing, holding and healing all. Bodhisattva, Great Mother, precious jewel of the cosmos, to whom we bow in gratitude. Radiating light in all directions, source of life on earth. Mahavarojana Tathagata, Great Father Son, Buddha of infinite life and light, to whom we bow in gratitude. Showing the way fearlessly and compassionately, the stream of all our ancestral teachers, to whom we bow in gratitude.
So, dear respected Thai and dear beloved community, this is time for us to recitation 5 mindfulness training in English. We will have opening sutra, opening verse, and then we will chanting the sutra inside, bring us to the other shore. You need a sheet of paper. And also after that we will recite the 5 mindfulness training. Con mời đại chúng mình sẽ khai chuông mỏ trước khi mình tụng kinh. Cảm ơn đại chúng.
Sangha Karma procedure. Has the entire community assembled?
The entire community has assembled.
Is there harmony in the community?
Yes, there is harmony.
Is there anyone not able to be present who has asked to be represented, and have they declared themselves to have done their best to study and practice the trainings?
No, there is not.
Why has the community assembled today?
The community has assembled today to recite the 5 mindfulness trainings.
Noble community, please listen. Today, June 6, 2021 has been chosen as the day to recite the 5 mindfulness trainings. The community has assembled at the appointed time and is ready to recite and to hear the trainings in an atmosphere of harmony. Thus, the recitation can proceed. It is statement clear and complete.
Clear and complete.
Sisters and brothers in the community, this is the moment when we enjoy reciting the 5 mindfulness trainings together. The 5 mindfulness trainings represent the Buddhist vision for a global spirituality and ethic. They are a concrete express of the Buddha's teachings on the 4 Noble Truths and the Noble Eightfold Path, the path of right understanding and true love, leading to healing, transformation, and happiness for ourselves and for the world. To practice the 5 mindfulness trainings is to cultivate the insight of interbeing, or right view, which can remove all discrimination, intolerance, anger, fear, and despair. If we live according to the 5 mindfulness trainings, we are already on the path of a bodhisattva. Knowing we are on that path, we are not lost in confusion about our life in the present or in fears about the future. We ask the community to listen with a serene mind. Consider the mindfulness trainings as a clear mirror in which to look at ourselves. Say yes silently every time you see that during the past month you have made an effort to study, practice, and observe the mindfulness training read. Brothers and sisters, are you ready? These are the 5 mindfulness trainings. The first mindfulness training, reverence for life. Aware of the suffering caused by destruction of life, I am committed to cultivating the insight of interbeing and compassion and learning ways to protect the lives of people, animals, plants, and minerals. I am determined not to kill, not to let others kill, and not to support any act of killing in the world, in my thinking, or in my way of life. Seeing that harmful actions arise from anger, fear, greed, and intolerance, which in turn come from dualistic and discriminative thinking, I will cultivate openness, non-discrimination, and non-attachment to views in order to transform violence, fanaticism, and dogmatism in myself and in the world. This is the first mindfulness training. Have we made an effort to study, practice, and observe it during the past month?
The second mindfulness training, true happiness. Aware of the suffering caused by exploitation, social injustice, stealing, and oppression, I am committed to practicing generosity in my thinking, speaking, and acting. I am determined not to steal and not to possess anything that should belong to others, and I will share my time, energy, and material resources with those who are in need. I will practice looking deeply to see that the happiness and suffering of others are not separate from my own happiness and suffering. That true happiness is not possible without understanding and compassion, and that running after wealth, fame, power, and sensual pleasures can bring much suffering and despair. I am aware that happiness depends on my mental attitude and not on external conditions, and that I can live happily in the present moment simply by remembering that I already have more than enough conditions to be happy. I am committed to practicing right livelihood, so that I can help reduce the suffering of living beings on Earth and stop contributing to climate change. This is the second mindfulness training. Have we made an effort to study, practice, and observe it during the past month?
The third mindfulness training, true love, aware of suffering caused by sexual misconduct. I am committed to cultivating responsibility and learning ways to protect the safety and integrity of individuals, couples, families, and society. Knowing that sexual desire is not love, and that sexual activity motivated by craving always harms myself as well as others. I am determined not to engage in sexual relations without true love and a deep long-term commitment made known to my family and friends. I will do everything in my power to protect children from sexual abuse and to prevent couples and families from being broken by sexual misconduct. Seeing that body and mind are one, I am committed to learning appropriate ways to take care of my sexual energy and cultivate loving kindness, compassion, joy, and inclusiveness, which are the four basic elements of true love, for my greater happiness and the greater happiness of others. Practicing true love, we know that we will continue beautifully into the future. This is the third mindfulness training. Have we made an effort to study, practice, and observe it during the past month?
The fourth mindfulness training, loving speech and deep listening. Aware of the suffering caused by unmindful speech and the inability to listen to others, I am committed to cultivating loving speech and compassionate listening in order to relieve suffering and to promote reconciliation and peace in myself and among other people, ethnic and religious groups and nations. Knowing that words can create happiness or suffering, I am committed to speaking truthfully, using words that inspire confidence, joy, and hope. When anger is manifesting in me, I am determined not to speak. I will practice mindful breathing and walking in order to recognize and to look deeply into my anger. I know that the roots of anger can be found in my wrong perceptions and lack of understanding of the suffering in myself and in the other person. I will speak and listen in a way that I can help myself and the other person to transform suffering and see the way out of difficult situations. I am determined not to spread news that I do not know to be certain, and not to utter words that can cause division or discord. I will practice right diligence to nourish my capacity for understanding, love, joy, and inclusiveness, and gradually transform anger, violence, and fear that lie deep in my consciousness. This is the fourth mindfulness training. Have we made an effort to study, practice, and observe it during the past month.
The fifth mindfulness training, nourishment and healing. Aware of the suffering caused by unmindful consumption, I am committed to cultivating good health, both physical and mental, for myself, my family, and my society by practicing mindful eating, drinking, and consuming. I will practice looking deeply into how I consume the four kinds of nutriments, namely edible foods, sense impressions, volition, and consciousness. I am determined not to gamble or to use alcohol, drugs, or any other products which contain toxins, such as certain websites, electronic games, TV programs, films, magazines, books, and conversations. I will practice coming back to the present moment to be in touch with the refreshing, healing, and nourishing elements in me and around me, not letting regrets and sorrow drag me back into the past or letting anxieties, fear, or craving pull me out of the present moment. I am determined not to try to cover up loneliness, anxiety, or other suffering by losing myself in consumption. I will contemplate, intervene, and consume in a way that preserves peace, joy, and well-being in my body and consciousness, and in the collective body and consciousness of my family, my society, and the earth. This is the fifth mindfulness training. Have we made an effort to study, practice, and observe it during the past month? Brothers and sisters, we have recited the 5 mindfulness trainings as the community has wished. We thank all our sisters and brothers for helping us to do it serenely.
Reciting the trainings, practicing